Hello, I'm back out today on another bass mission. Now we've got a bit of a westerly wind today, which is putting a bit of chop in the water. That's also coincided with a front of swell coming in. Now I'm down at a mark on the west coast of Guernsey. I've not been here for quite some time now. About 2 years ago I fished it quite a lot and had quite a bit of success on quite a few variations of tide as well. Now today I'm going to be fishing a dropping tide. I'm probably going to give it about an hour here. I'm going to start with a top water lure. Like I said, it is quite choppy, so I'll see how I get on with this. I've got some shallow divers with me, all the usual suspects, and also some soft plastics. So yeah, going to be hunting out a bass. This is the first day I've really come out properly. I've got all afternoon, so I may even try somewhere else a bit later on when it gets to low tide. So yeah, hopefully we'll be in with a bit of a chance for a bass. It is good conditions, it's a good time of year. If they're feeding, if they're here, hopefully we'll be able to bag one. So I'm going to get down to the mark and yeah, we'll get fishing. Now the thing with this place is you get a big swell that rolls in. So where I'm going to be stood, it's going to be crashing against the rocks. So I might have to stand back every now and then. But yeah, I'm hoping we're going to be in with a shout here. Like I said, I'm going to be using a surface lure, but it might be a little bit too choppy. So we'll just see how it goes after a few casts and yeah, work it out from there really. Now there's a fair bit of weed in the water. And at the moment I've got to stand pretty high up on these rocks as the tide's still flooding over the other gullies. But we'll get this lure out there, see if we can find something. Right, it's getting a bit hairy. Oh God, that is a big wave coming there. Jesus Christ. This could be a bit too rough for this spot today. So, second spot of the day. That last place was a little too rough. Now, I had a few casts from a couple of different places, but the swell rolling in was pretty mental. So not only was it a little bit dangerous, yeah, I didn't really see much hope there. It would have been the one occasion where you hook into an absolute monster, but landing it would have been a completely different story. So driven further down the coast, come to a different mark, and I'm hoping I can get to a spot which I actually intended to fish by coming here. I've just seen someone else head out with a few beach rods. They're probably targeting gilt heads and bass, and they might end up going in that spot. So yeah, I'll see what he does, and then just have a few casts around the shallows maybe. But I'm going to be going top water again, and yeah, we'll see if we can actually find something. Right, so that fella has gone exactly where I wanted to go, and there's a boat in the shallows doing their pots, so not even going to bother having to go there. I'm going to head to a completely different side, which I think I've only ever fished this place once in my life before, and from what I remember, the tide runs incredibly fast. I found it pretty tricky to suss out last time I was here, but we'll go have a wander anyway. As the tide's dropping, I don't have to worry about getting cut off at the moment. Yeah, we're going to be fishing into the wind a little bit, but shouldn't be too bad. But I don't think I've ever been this far around at this area before. That's pretty interesting. I've just clocked a little spot which should have the wind behind me. It's fishing into shallow, rough ground. So I'm going to head that direction. It's about 75 meters away, and then hopefully start fishing. I'm just going to double check the tide again, make sure I got it right. Always when you're covering new ground and you're, you know, far offshore, hopping over gullies and things like that, you want to make sure you got the tides right. You need to know when you can head back, especially over here in Guernsey. The tide runs very quick. Got fairly big tides at the moment, just under a 9 meter high, I think. So the difference between 5 minutes and 10 minutes can actually make all the difference. Just for anyone else who's ever in those situations. So let's get the first cast away. Might help if I flip the bail arm over. Now there's patches of weed here, which hopefully I can guide this lure around. But what we've basically got here is just a large sort of shallow bay, lots of boulders, lots of weeds sticking up, good ground for bass sort of hanging out. We're going to be in amongst these boulders and weed. It's very shallow, but you'd hope with the tide sucking out, bass are going to be honing in on anything getting washed around. A lot of weed close in, so got to kind of pull the lure through that if you end up getting snagged. Ideally it'd be good to fish this area when it was sort of 2 feet deeper. But it's all new ground to me. It's always worth a punt. You never know what's lurking beneath. Whoa. Come to a completely different area now. Deeper water. It looks like to be over sand, bit of weed in close. Structure on my left, structure on my right. So let's give it a go here. Still going to stick to the top water for now. I just had a bass go for the lure then. Yep, there we go, I'm on. Was that a bass or was that a... This could be a garfish. I'm not quite sure. It's small, whatever it is. And it also could be foul hooked. It's either a very small bass. Actually, I think it's a little bass. But there we go. First outing with the new lure. It's only a tiny one. Oh, it's very, very small. Absolutely minute. But there we go. Look at the size of that bass. Well, I've had a couple of small ones lately, but I think this could take the biscuit. There we are though. It beats a blank. One tiny, tiny little bass. See if I can get you a better show. There we go, just a small one. Missed the lure at first, but that is a tiny bass. I mean, got the size of my hand compared to that. But it's a start. Let's get him back. There we go, he's off. What a miniature bass. Pretty cool to see though. Oh, he's gone. I've just dropped him back in. There we are. Let's see if we can find some more. That's the, this is the first outing. Literally, I just got this out of the box of my car when I was getting ready. By Lorenzo Espiti, is it? Not quite sure I pronounced that. 21 grams, mullet colour. But yeah, it's found a little baby bass. Can it find a bigger one? Don't know how well you can see on camera, but it's all sand here. All of it is sand, but there's one sort of, I don't know, 3 metre by 2 metre area of rough ground, which is either weed or rock. I just sort of cast closer to that time. Obviously you're always sort of looking for structure, and there's a bit of tide that's running through there as well, and that's where that little minute bass decided to nail it. But as the tide's dropping, it's just going to be a case of moving around, you know. All of this area is new to me, so you're just trying to work out sort of any fish holding areas, or this isn't a fish holding area. I wouldn't classify this as one. But as the tide's being sucked out, you will get fish which pass by, and because there's structure around, they could always be on either side of a structure waiting for stuff to float, to wash past in the tide. Right, I think I've just clocked another area which I can go and have a few chucks at. I only had 2 more casts in that spot, I think, or a couple more. May as well make the most of the time whilst the tide's dropping. Go have a look at different areas, get a few casts away. A lot of this side looks like it sort of breaks out. It's all rough ground like this where the tide's flooded out of, and it breaks out into like the odd boulder and then just pretty much onto clean sand. So not the best areas to be targeting, but you will obviously still get bass, you know, just sitting on the sand or just swimming around the different little coves and little bay areas, you know, either waiting for that tide to turn or just scoping things out. I mean, you never know exactly what's on a fish's mind. That's all part of the joy of it. But yeah, some of these other bits, you could fish them whilst the tide's still dropping. Yeah, I reckon that could be pretty productive. So I'll bear that in mind for the future. And it looks like such a good area to my left here, but I didn't see very well. Cut off by a really wide gully which you can't get over, but in that area there looks pretty good. If you could get onto the rocks on the left here, cast that way, it's rougher ground, a lot of kelp and everything. You've got a lot of tidal flow coming through that channel there, pushing into this bit. Be a really good place to target there, but unfortunately this is as close to it as I can get. And on this side where it is all rough ground there, it fades out into complete sand here. But it's worth a go anyway. This cast is going straight on, head on into the wind. I've clipped on the pachinko just because it's heavier lure. Can get it out there a bit. There's loads of weeds sticking up, but it's all really dark ground. So it's all kelp and rock. Just going to give it a few casts here. See if we get any big splashes. Just got a lot of slack in the line because wind's coming head on towards me. Can actually get it a fair distance, say going against the wind. Also got the sun right in front of me, so can't actually see much. Well, I'm making my way back over to the shore now, and I've just found this crab pot wedged in between these boulders here. Now I've managed to get it up, and it's got a few crabs in it. And it's got a couple of spider crabs in it. Now these are all undersized, so what I'm going to do, let's just get them out because they're completely in the dry here and they're just going to die. There's a little shanker there. So yeah, one little shanker crab there, and then we got two spiders. Now these are all undersized, so literally that pot, I mean, I don't know who it belongs to. If it is yours, then I apologise, but there's no way you're getting that back. I doubt you even know where it is. So I'm just going to pop these crabs in that little rock pool, because they'll just die. I mean, there's no point at all. God knows how long they've been there for. They could be on their last legs anyway, but they're still moving, so they've got a chance. Let's get them all in there. And there we go. Hopefully they'll survive. Now obviously there's not a lot I can do with the pot. This is obviously torn off the ropes, or its little, you know, bobbers and ropes in the storms, and it was just caught down there. So all I can do, I suppose, is get it up high here. The tide is going to come in. I mean, it does flood over all this bit, but to say we're about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile offshore, definitely don't fancy carrying that. Well, that's a long way back to the car now. I'm going to start heading over back to where I came from. We're bang on low water now, and I've just given it, I don't know, 4 or 5 casts from a few different places over there. The swell slacked off completely. I mean, in here you can see it's completely flat. Still a big swell out on the horizon, and that first spot I went to this morning, as the tide was still quite high, you could see what it was like there. There are a few sets that came into that place which I didn't film because I just had to get the hell out of the way of them. But it's a different contrast of things now. It'll pick up again later on as the tide floods in. I'm not too sure how long this swell's in for, but yeah, hopefully it'll stir things up a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to start making my way back. I might see if that the bait fisherman is still there. If not, I'll give it a go there quickly, but if he is, it's no worries. Might head back to the car, and yeah, I might go somewhere else yet. Not exactly satisfied with that micro bass. Be good to catch something a bit bigger, but yeah, we'll see. It's like the hottest part of the day now. It's absolutely baking. But anyway, I'll see you in a bit. So I've just stopped off here on the way back. I've had one cast. I don't know how well you can see on camera, but the tide, there's a huge rip in the tide here. And this is the area I've fished before. And on that first cast, I just had a swell behind the lure. It was just a small one, but it was right in the rip there. So yeah, I'm going to give it a go here. 10 minutes or so. It's absolutely tearing through. Don't know how well you can see it on camera. You can see it's flat calm here, and then you can see how turbulent the water is that side.